And welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. I have an excellent show for you today. My guest, well, have you ever heard of masterminds? Maybe you have. But today we've got a master of the minds. Ed Lewellen is an executive coach in the industry today that is literally bringing business owners transformation in their mind to where they want to be. So many business owners, if you're a business owner out there, you're probably watching a show like this hoping to glean some tip, tool, or technique that can help you grow your business or expand it. Well, today I've got a real gift in that area because Ed has a gift for helping people go to where they want to be, not where they see themselves at. That's a real block for a lot of people. I know sometimes they say, you know, get out of the way. Well, today we're going to help you, in a sense, get out of the way and get into the path for creating the destiny you want in your business. Ed, thanks so much for being on the show.
Glad to be here, Pat. I'm
really looking forward to this show because I want to know how you got into the executive transformational thinking that you do.
Well, most of it started back about 1995. I started a consulting business and I worked with a bank, helping them to be able to recreate their culture, taking it from a very reactive to a proactive type culture. And I did this using a number of methods, and it worked so well that they end up getting purchased by a national bank. In fact, one of the largest banks here in the United States. And they attributed a lot of that to the change in culture that I was able to create using assessments, using coaching, and just making that transformation from the mindset of, again, being just reactive to being a very proactive type culture.
So where do you see yourself today working with people?
I work with a lot of executives, CEOs, presidents, owners of companies, and I help them be able to make the transformations, kind of like you said at the outset, where they know they can be more, they know their companies can be more, they know their people can be more, and I take those roadblocks away. I get those out of the way because they all start right here in the mind. And you've heard the expression where we only use 10% of our mind. Well, I open that up so that their people are using much more of their minds and the resources contained therein.
Excellent. So when you talk about working with these different executives and things like that, what do you think is the most common, I want to say, characteristics of the roadblocks? In other words, what causes those things?
Where it always feeds back to are the beliefs a person has. Growing up, we're fed a lot of beliefs from our parents, teachers, police officers, all the people that surround us in our daily lives. And as a young person, we gather up a lot of our beliefs all the way up through about 8, 9 years old that become sustained all throughout our life.
Right.
Those just grow and expand as we get older, because once we have a belief, every experience we have just adds on top of that, and so that belief grows stronger. So if a person believes they're only capable of having a $3 million company because someone suggested that to them many years ago, that's what they'll be limited to.
Isn't that interesting? A lot of times I've said that I think adults are kids in big clothing.
Absolutely.
That emotionally we stop aging at about 13. Is that something that you've seen in working with business owners and such, is that, you know, you think it didn't matter in the 8th grade, but it did?
Right. And a lot of people will obviously become defensive if you say something like that to them. So I usually don't approach it from that method. Really, it's just a matter of, you know, who are they now? Who do they want to be?
Right.
What is it that they feel is standing in the way? And like I said, 99.99% of the time, I can trace that back to a belief that they have that just a little tweak many times is all it takes just to turn on the blast furnaces, you know, the overdrive, to make that person totally change from, you know, being what they really don't want to be, stuck in this rut, to being everything they can be.
Once you've helped somebody like that, that's an executive or something, how useful is it for you to be able to get in and visit with the mid-level managers, especially if they're a company over 100 employees?
That's the beautiful thing about what I do, just like working with that bank I was talking about at the beginning. You know, I originally worked with one bank. They liked what I did so well, they expanded what I was doing to all their banks in their entire region that I was working with. And I love that because one of my visions for my company and working with others is the fact that if I can work with those people that have the most influence on the entire organization, it just cascades down, creates a better organization all throughout.
And so people are able to not just break through the barriers, they're actually able to attain some of their real goals and such?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's amazing, you know, to listen to some of the stories of people, and I can share some of those stories with you, you know, later on as we talk.
Very good. I know that one of the things that I'm really impressed with the way that you work with others is that it doesn't take a long time, that it's a very quick process, that you're able to get in and in a sense get out, but have left behind the tools in their mind, in their place, that create the results that they want. Is that correct?
Absolutely. What normally takes an executive coach maybe weeks, months, even years to accomplish, I accomplish within hours.
That's excellent. Well, today we're talking on the Business Spotlight about mastering your mind. And we've got a master of the mind, Ed Lewellen. And in just a few minutes, we'll be back with more on the Business Spotlight. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. Today I've got Ed Lewellen, who is I want to just call it a master of the mind. If you're somebody that's a business owner, that you're watching this, you're trying to expand your influence, your affluence, and your impact in the community at large, and probably make a lot more money for yourself, which is always a good thing. Well, Ed's expert at all of those things and freeing your belief system to where you actually can receive what you've really wanted. Ed, I want to talk this time about some of the ways that you're helping people and how that's coming about. Do you have any stories you could share with us?
Absolutely. The first story I want to share is about a VP of a $30 million company here in town. And it was interesting because during 2007, 2008, you know, there were a lot of people that had tough times, especially people in marketing. that was a tough time. Because a lot of times companies, you know, cut back on their marketing during, you know, lean times. So he'd been through several jobs. A mutual friend that he and I had got him a job in this company. And after a few months, the CEO told him, look, you got to either man up or we're going to let you go in 45 days because he was fearful. He was fearful because he had lost so many jobs. He was fearful he was going to lose this job. He was fearful to speak up on his own behalf. Other people were taking him apart during executive meetings and stuff, you know, just really putting the hammer to him. So he'd really lost a lot of his confidence. And so in just 2 one-hour sessions with him, we worked on some things that were those limiting beliefs that were holding him back, that were causing him all this memory of all these things that he'd faced, and changed it to where not only did he kept that job, but he did so well, he ended up getting a job down in Houston. So he even moved on. There's a large financial services company, well, actually national service financial services company that I worked with. They're the lowest performing salesperson here in town. And it was interesting because my ploy when working with this company was I told them, look, I'll take your lowest performing person, make them into the top 10%. If I don't do it, you don't pay me anything.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah, if I do it, then you owe me my fee. And so they took it on, and in 2 hours changed this person from being the lowest performing salesperson they had, changed those limiting beliefs that held him back from being able to make the cold calls and presentations and so forth, and turned him into a top 10% performer.
So what I just heard was that you were able to take a low performer and get them past the fear of rejection, which usually in sales, I think that's probably the biggest apprehension. Would you agree with that, that the fear of rejection seems to be the thing that they're trying to overcome?
Fear of rejection. They've been told in the past, like in this guy's instance, his dad always treated salespeople really bad, and he never wanted to be called a salesperson. Didn't want that label put on him because of how his dad viewed salespeople. Just that whole aura. How he ever went into sales, I don't know, but like I said, now he's doing really, really well.
But all it took was just a couple hours working through the process that you've designed and developed for executives and business owners especially, and then even organizations. Can you do the same thing in an organization that has maybe 100 salespeople, where you could work with each one and maybe raise all of their levels?
Absolutely. The training I do with organizations, I've got a leadership or a university level leadership training that I do that can either be in its entirety or parceled out. I've got my own sales training I put together. It's called Sales Nautic, that I help people, and it's beyond just the how do you make a cold call, how do you make a presentation. In fact, I really don't work with that part because that's the basics. This takes it beyond into the deep structured communication, into the things that will really just exponentially raise their conversion rates of prospects into clients.
I think that's what most people want anyways, though. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When I've worked with companies, what I hear them tell me the story is, they bring a sales training company in, and I'm not, bashing sales training companies at all. I'm just saying that, they bring one in, they do training. Well, they don't raise their sales like they thought they would. So then they bring in another one, and it's basically the same thing, only repackaged. And they still don't raise their sales. And they're spending, tens of thousands of dollars per year doing this, maybe even hundreds of thousands, and not getting the change that they wanted. And that's where I make the difference. It's not the, I'm not going to come in and here's the 5 or 6 steps on how to make a sales presentation. I'm going to teach their salespeople as a group how to use that deep structure communication for one thing, as an instance, and then if need be, do one-on-one work with them.
That's excellent. Well, I know one of the other things that I hear, and I've heard this for years, in being involved in sales training and speaking and things of that nature, is that you can talk to somebody, or you can tell somebody something, and the next day 90-some-odd% of it doesn't stick. Right. I mean, literally within 24 hours. But you're talking about internalizing at literally the base hard drive in their head some key components of rapport and literally persuasion. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. I mean, it's things that seem really simple but yet are so powerful, are just taking them back to a time and have them think back to a time when, and it could be something bad happened, something good happened, but recreating that feeling and then creating, of course, a future feeling with them involved in it.
That's great. This is a Business Spotlight. We'll be right back after we hear from our sponsors. Welcome back to the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. I have a great show going today, and we're talking to a master of the minds. Ed Lewellen is an executive coach in the Keller area, serving the nation in working with business owners and businesses at a executive level, and even many times even the mid-level management, to create massive change in culture and in their lives. Ed, I really want to know more about who this message is for. Who's your ideal client is one way to say that.
Really, anyone who wants to take their game to a higher level. If they feel like they've plateaued, it's kind of like if people, when they work out, a lot of times, they'll get to a certain amount of weight they can lift, and they kind of get stuck there, and they're looking for a way to just, break through that plateau and move on to more massive change. And that's the kind of people that I'm looking for, are people who they've exhausted their efforts in being able to reach that next level, and they're looking for something different. Because I promise you, what I'm going to deliver is going to be something different than what they've experienced before. It's not going to be, the usual sales training, the usual leadership training. It's going to be something that causes massive, quick change.
Well, what I see in my head when you're describing that is a guy running up to a door to break through it, and it's locked and it's bolted and it's steel.
Okay.
So all he's getting out of that experience is a bruise.
Sure.
So you're telling me that you've got the key to unlock that door?
Actually, I wouldn't say the key. I'd say that I just give them the power to break through the door.
Oh, nice.
Just knock the whole door down.
Very good. Because it's just an illusion or something?
Absolutely. Once they get through this, the changes are permanent. The changes are again, I'll use the term massive because I think it really describes what I do. And it's all about what goes on inside the mind. We create our life inside here.
Right.
And if anyone's ever been a reader of Stephen Covey, he talks about the two creations. There's the mental creation and the physical creation. And I truly believe in that philosophy. I truly believe that if a leader is stuck, with a certain, a certain problem. Let's say it's, relationship with their staff. Maybe it's not the amount of money that the company is making. Any of those kind of things. That's already been created somehow in the mind. And that's what is so great about what I do, is I come in and again, I just have them bash through that door and knock it down and not look back. They don't ever have to look back and say, I'm still back there.
Right. Well, one of the things I hear in what you're saying and is that so often as executives and leaders in an industry or as an expert, that we see ourselves where we're at rather than where we want to be. And what I hear there is that you actually place them in this other place and help them stay there. Is that what you just said?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They can, when I work with them, by the time we're done, they already are in that new place.
Very good. Do you have any other examples of some people that are really an ideal client for you?
Well, sales forces are great because, as I mentioned before, so much of the time it's just rehashing over and over again the same sales training and getting the same result. Where have we heard that before?
Right. So
if a company's looking to exponentially raise their sales, then I'm the person they want to talk to.
Well, I know we have a mutual friend that literally said that he wanted to be at the top of the table, and he is literally on track to making that after working with you.
Yep.
Well, what do you think are the secrets to his success in that after working with you? What was it that you did for him?
Well, as you said, it's a mutual friend. He came to me and he told me that in the first 6 months of this year, he'd only done $60,000 in sales. In order to qualify for this top of the table club that he wanted to be in, he has to do $1.4 million.
Nice.
And so I worked with him. There were some beliefs, some challenges in his mind that he was facing that he really didn't believe he could do it. He had the desire, he had the want to, but there were these mental blocks that were holding him back. And Pat, one of the things that's so satisfying for me is, now I've worked with this gentleman twice, and the first time it was such a great experience because you could just see he went from, yeah, I'd really like to do that, to I can do this. The second time he came back, because as you said, he's already on track to do that $1.4 million in sales, and the second time he was so excited. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, he couldn't hardly wait to get out of my office because he was motivated to go out and make the activity that he knew was going to drive that $1.4 million.
What's fun about your story is that I know you aren't someone who is just all hype and, oh, you can do it, you can do it. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about giving them the keys to really eliminate the illusion of that barrier.
Absolutely.
And then being able to move forward. and really move into the life that they want. And what's fun is that, like I say, this particular person, I think he's not only going to be top of the table, he may be the top of the table because of some of the things that he is seeing take place in his life. And I do believe it's your fault.
I'll take that blame.
Well, you know, we're here on the Business Spotlight. I'm Pat Dewar. Mastering your mind is something that is a real trick. And to learn more about connecting with Ed, you'll need to stay with us just for this real short break. We'll be right back. And welcome to the Business Spotlight. Again, we're here on the last quarter of the hour, or half hour, I guess you'd want to call it, because we break our segments that way. And we're talking about mastering your mind. If you're a business owner and you've stayed with us, or you're seeing this online and you're wanting to learn more about mastering your mind, then you've come to the right place. Ed Lewellen is a very gifted coach in the Keller area. Executives predominantly are who work with him, and companies that are looking for a culture change, really reaching their full potential. If you're a business owner and you see a blockage in your way, you should be connecting to Ed. So with that, Ed, how does somebody connect to you? What do you want them to do? And then what's the onboarding process of bringing on new clients and new companies and working with you? Because I imagine you don't work with everybody. It has to be a good fit.
Right. So what they want to do is connect with me. They see my phone number up there, 972-900-9207. They can go to my website at trans-think.com. There's a contact form there, or they can email me at ed@trans-think.com. So those are ways they can connect. And as far as onboarding, the thing I like to do first, Pat, is have a conversation, find out what are the challenges they're facing, what have they tried to do to try to fix it, why weren't those successful? Because what I'm looking for are leaders and companies that they really want to make change. It's not just it'd be nice to have, but they really want to make that change. And so we have a little vetting process there. Of course, they need to get to know me a little bit, see how I integrate into helping them as well as them with me. And once we do that, I'll lay out a plan and say, here's what we need to do. Here's how this change will happen, and here's what you can expect from it.
Interesting. So the process sounds like it's fairly simple. It's on the phone or belly to belly, but
Sure.
Talk.
Sure.
And then make sure it's a good fit. What should they expect once they begin to work with you?
They can expect a roller coaster ride. Well, I
Okay.
shouldn't say that. A rocket ride.
Okay.
I mean, a roller coaster indicates up and down. No, it's gonna be a thrill ride, because what they're going to be able to experience are results that come quicker than what they could ever conceive.
Right. Now that
And-
sounds pretty bold, but
Yep.
I mean, I've seen you work with folks, so I know it works. But so they're gonna begin to launch.
Right.
What should they expect over the months and ahead of that?
Really depends on what do they want? How extensive do they need to change, or enlarge or change the level of what they're working at? And so depending on that, because again, it's like you said, I mean, what I do is very quick. What I tell people a lot of times is I help make all that change that would normally take weeks, months, or years very quickly, so that there are no lost opportunities.
Nice.
That's what's really cool, because instead of taking all this time of training, developing, and so forth, those changes can happen so quickly that they immediately start seeing results.
Really nice. If you were speaking to a business owner, what would you want them to know, or what would you say to them in trying to help them understand that working with you can be easy, fun, and generate the right results?
I'd say it's easy, fun, and can generate the right results. It really is.
I didn't mean to put words in your mouth there. It's not very sanitary, you know.
No, it really is. I get along with almost everybody. If they check out my LinkedIn profile, they see I got a lot of really great recommendations from pretty high-level people in organizations, and I'm easy to get along with. I do what I say, and it's a very simple process. Very simple process that, if a person is a visionary and they see this vision of where they or their company can be, I can help bring that into reality.
But they need to be at the place where they're ready to implement. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's no use for them to contact me if they want to dilly-dally. I'm not the person for them to talk to.
Right. They want results, and they want them now. Work with you, and you can implement massive change very quickly. The other thing that's really exciting is that it's not just like sales or marketing or whatever. It's all of the opportunities that are open is what it sounds like. That you kind of open their brain up to where it's functioning.
Absolutely. That's the other beautiful side of what I do is when I work with people at a business level, it translates into their personal life. I've got numerous testimonials, emails where people will tell me, not only did I change their business life, but their personal life is so much better as well, because those things that, if they weren't getting along with their spouse, or they weren't having that engagement with their kids, or whatever it was that wasn't satisfying their life, it just disappears.
Excellent. So how should they get a hold of you?
972-900-9207 or ed@transthink.com.
Excellent. And you've got a newsletter as well that you send out. I guess you write that about what, once a week, once or twice a month?
That's twice a week. I'm sorry, once a week.
Once a week. Well, it seems to come out that often. Absolutely, subscribe to it. The other thing that I would encourage you to do is that if you are a business owner and you know that you want to change, that it's time for you to change, then by all means get a hold of Ed. Email him, phone call him, visit his website to get familiar with what he shares and teaches and the rest of it. And those things will make a difference in your life. The thing I've seen in working with Ed in the past is that the changes are subtle but significant. And what's significant is just changing the aim a little bit can make a huge difference on a target that's far away. Well, it's the little things that matter. When the Business Spotlight is really trying to give you tips, tools, and techniques to grow your business right now. This is Pat Dewar. Ed Lewellen's been my guest, a master of minds, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks again.